Hi everyone, I'm Nicholas Pan, VMLY&R Asia MD for Commerce and Strategy here from Singapore, and I'm very glad that I'm here together with both Cars and Justin. So today we're going to talk about commerce, and I think our audiences are global, and I think they are looking at us from an APAC perspective, like what's happening there in APAC, right? So honestly, I think consumers were already getting extremely connected, but with COVID, I think many of us are all stuck at home, stuck online, and content consumption have just exploded. So from a commerce perspective, right,
Mm.
what are brands in APAC doing to respond to this fundamental shift in consumer behavior? What can brands globally learn from it as well? Justin, would love to hear your points on.
Sure. Thank you, Nick. I think what we are seeing here in China, especially in Asia Pacific as well, is that commerce in the digital format, when we look at basically online marketplace, it is already very active, right? You have Southeast Asia who is leading the way. You have China who is actually doing innovation. What is important to see is that as COVID hits us, we are seeing that all the time spent in the market, the e-commerce have evolved even faster, beyond the typical marketplace such as Tmall or JD.com. What do I mean by that? Because usually for marketplace, when you look at delivery, is 1 to 2 days lead time, which is already considered very fast. But as we are stuck at home and we can't travel out, plus also the physical retail being closed for business, the Chinese consumer are still having high demand for fresh produce and chilled products. We're not going to eat canned food all the time. So with demand for fresh food, chilled products, the challenge will be how does the platform as well as a retailer, deliver faster, making sure that the food is delivered fresh. So most of the platforms and retailers have actually come together to actually innovate to an extent that place a delivery within 30 minutes. The retailers would send a dispatch a rider all the way to your home with the products that you have just placed. So breakneck speed of 30 minutes, is now a standard in China, and that continues to be the case post COVID. And of course, we are not just into buying, going into exploring on any of the e-commerce platform. We want to be entertained as well. As Nick rightly put, we consume a lot of content, not just video content, but live streaming, during the COVID period has really taken on a life of its own. In fact, for the last 1 year, live streaming GMV, live streaming viewership has just skyrocketed. But what is important to see live streaming as is that it's very much an entertainment plus purchase, because the shoppers enjoy the interaction between the live streamers. They don't want to be just viewing a video to see a demonstration of the product, listening to someone just going through the motion. What is unique about live streaming is that as a viewer, you can actually click like, you can send gifts, you can leave comments, and it creates a very interesting community of buyers and hosts. And soon you see that most of the users and the shoppers are actually in the live streaming session just to support their favorite hosts. I think the third point that we've seen is that WeChat, becomes even more integrated. WeChat is close to 95% penetration in the Chinese netizen portfolio of apps. But neighbors who are living in the same compound, who can't travel out, are now using a same WeChat group, and they're making joint purchase, bulk purchase, as a community. And in doing so, we are actually helping the delivery to be more streamlined and also enjoying better discount. So I think in a certain way, digital commerce have really evolved and sort of diversified over the last 1 year or so. And that actually give us a lot of innovation and innovative ideas for us to think about, and brands from global markets can actually take reference from. Nick, back to you.
Yeah, I'm sitting here in Southeast Asia, and I really resonate with what you say
Mm.
as well. On, like, say, for example, live streaming, right? It's sort of a shoppertainment,
Mm.
right? Everybody wants to be entertained
Mm.
as well. So really, I foresee it always, like whatever that's happening in China in about a year or two time, it's
Mm.
going to come to Southeast Asia, and I think it
Mm.
will percolate throughout the world as well. So for
Mm.
Carlos, what do you think about this fundamental shift in consumer behavior because of COVID? What I believe you're in Shanghai, so what's your observations there?
Mm.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Yeah, I think there's a big trend about the new brands emerging recently because of the COVID, because people change their taste and in different consumer goods, and they like before maybe the traditional ones, and maybe a little bit canned food with traditional container that will be accepted, but right now for them they will need some instant food, but really, really
mm,
like the real food. And they also really like some new skincare and also very,
mm,
very contained for the sensitive skin because when we wear the mask, they had a lot of the skincare problems coming out. There's a big problems when people using different habits when we have the ham with the mask to going out and in. So the consumers started not to using a lot of the cosmetics products, and it's really, really a lot of the cosmetics, like the nationwide and worldwide, the brands, they really got a very, 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 very big challenge into how to attract
mm,
consumers to come into. And in the same time, like the instant food and also the drinks, and only emerging on the AC market like Timor, that will be very, very strongly sales in last year. For example, as the 元气森林, which one got financed in last year again. It's going for the soda, a very niche strategy into a taste, and for Z generations, and it gives people different taste, different packaging, and different delivery with the taste, and people can consider more and healthy too. So all around the food and also the drinks and everything about it, they started to contains like zero sugar or sort of that concept coming out. So that part becomes very showing very quickly. Also like the
mm,
coffee market like Sandun Ban, which is really good
mm,
because it changed the packaging of the instant coffee, and it's give the consumers really taste like they going outside for the coffee drink in the coffee house.
mm,
So it changed the totally consumer insights into how they're going to choose. Another thing is another observation is about for brands, more consumer brands started to use collaborations like joint brand for promotion, and they started to use IP more. They use the traffic star for show
mm,
star for the live streaming. They use the Li Jiaqi and they use the Veya for the great traffic for the Timor store, and a lot of the traffic show star was so welcome and during this time because people wanted to get the Z generations coming out, and brand concerns very much into attract for the new customers. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. So, just talking about maybe even e-commerce festivalization. We had Cyber Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and then now in China, 11/11, 12/12. And the challenge is, like, I think in the past a year or two, it's now everything, right? There is a 10/10, 9/9, 2/2, 4/4,
mm,
and things like that. Then there is
mm,
Mother's Day, and it seems like there's always some
mm,
level of sales and promotion happening around. I think
mm,
that also I feel personally have shifted consumer behavior a lot. Rather than going to the store and
mm,
picking up a good deal, you know that one is coming around the corner very, very
mm,
soon. And I believe this is quite similar in China as well. So I would like to touch on this point because it's quite close to my heart because I feel that
mm,
currently consumers are going through something like a festivalization fatigue. It's just like
mm,
there's always a sale all the time. I know
mm,
I'm going to get good deals,
mm,
right? I believe we all love good deals.
mm,
But the problem is, what do I want to buy? I don't really have a need per se. If I have something, I'll add it in my shopping cart. I'll check it out when the price is right. But what I'm seeing is that brands
mm,
throwing discounts left, right, center, right? They are giving like some 75% discounts or maybe 25% store wide. Someone have to fund that, right? So I feel that for brands, it's not really it's really taking a hit on the profit margin, which is not really viable for business. However, at the same time, we know, and I'm not sure in China, but in Southeast Asia, we have the Alibaba and Tencent conglomerates, trying to fight in Southeast Asia to win with their Lazada, which is owned by Alibaba, and Shopee, which is owned by Tencent, right? And heavily invested, and both of them are just doing land grabs. They are just trying to outdo one another to get as much eyeballs as well. And hence what I feel that brands are doing is just trying to get the best possible deal, and it's almost like a digital bazaar of sorts. So my point to this is that while we are still going through this what I call the e-commerce festivalization on an ongoing basis, brands need to be aware that there is a festivalization fatigue, and what they should do is take this opportunity as well to build brand. So I would love to share a case study with you on how I think a brand have done something fantastically well to overcome this. It's a bit of a old case study, but this is a so-called called Oreo Music Box. So Oreo wanted to sell Oreo during the big Tmall's 11/11 festival, but rather than just giving huge discounts, what they did was they provide a consumer experience. They gave consumers a toy to play with their Oreo. So it's an Oreo music box, almost like a little vinyl. So rather than me trying to explain it, I'll play a video and you guys can see what I mean.
In China, everyone shops online. They buy billions of dollars worth of electronics, toys, and clothing. But the one thing they don't buy? Food. That was a problem for our client, Oreo. So rather than get them to buy something that they weren't even considering, we transformed Oreo into a category of product that they were. Introducing Oreo Music Box. People searching for electronics discovered it. Those searching for toys did too. Best of all, you needed Oreos to play it. To change the song, you simply took another bite. So the more Oreos you ate, the more songs you heard. It launched exclusively on Alibaba's Tmall, China's and one of the world's largest e-commerce sites. Every box could be customized, and mobile AR made the experience even more playful.
电商还会有哪些一些新技术、新服务出现？浩兵，请你们跟我们分享一下你在现场现在最新的观察和。
它像一个微型的这个黑胶唱片机，而这个唱片呢，其实呢是一块饼干。
On the day it was offered, those looking for electronics and toys quickly added the Oreo box to their shopping carts, not to mention a couple of extra boxes of Oreos.
So if you've seen the video, what I would like to share with you is behind the scenes. So this is something our office did in Shanghai, and the beauty of it is the commercial aspect of it. What we have is we have 6 tubes of cookies together with the toy. But with the toy, what happens now is that the basket size triples. That makes a lot more viable for shipping, and a lot more viable just for e-commerce in general. Everybody wins, and nobody is actually giving a huge discount. So not only are we making a good profit on the cookies, but we are also making profit off the toy as well. So that's great. What about Kaz? What do you think about this whole festivalization thing? What do you think audiences in China and brands in China are reacting to it?
Thanks, Nick. And I think what you mentioned about in South Asia, the compact, the competitions with different platforms, that will be intensely in China because we had a lot of them. And if, for example, as the Alibaba and also as the JD, they will give a lot of the more promotion and will give the discount getting together. And I think for consumer side, they decided they choose things more carefully because they started to running about the prices by themselves with a different platform. There's a little bit strategy for them to compare, and they were listed every promotion discount for every platform and calculate very carefully. I saw a lot of the consumers started to do that and during this year, especially in last year, because as a COVID, every people will have something different, like changing job or changing something, changing the city. So they see carefully into what they want. So regarding to some of the uh, gifts or sort of the gift with purchase, usually that works very well in China. But in last year, I think is because of the COVID, so people just getting more involved into different things like really discount. For example, as the Estee Lauder and also at the history of the whole as the cosmetics, they just going like 50% off. So people just getting started to just buy because of it's only cheap, and some of them are they really needed. For those brands, they don't have a really need. They don't just started to purchase. So as on the other side, so brands just finding different way to just trigger consumers to buy in the promotion because they have a great traffic at that time, but it's really very hard for them. So I think for them, they use the different ways and they trying to send consumer more. So it changed taste. Well, there is the really another thing. The brand, some brand just give up with the big platform like the Timor. They came into the more like in WeChat in emerging ones and then come into a new distributions. So I think this is another trend because of this competition. So some of the like the middle range of the brands came into a distribution in a different platform because they can afford for the discount as the uh, Timor and JD need, and a lot of them coming down for going to, as was just mentioned about to faster like deliver as 30 minutes or 1 hour. They develop and develop new. I think that's is really happens in China. Thanks.
Yeah, it's huge. I think this festivalization plus e-commerce is really changing consumer behavior drastically, and I really implore on brands to really think about not just using e-commerce especially as just a bazaar sale, but really as an opportunity to do brand building. Really coming back to what marketing and advertising is all about to build that brand love, that brand saliency, and things like that. Justin, I've got a question for you. You know,
Sure.
because of e-commerce, like I've mentioned, right? Especially, the world is getting smaller. I'm staying at home, and almost every other day I have a package. Okay, guilty. But not only from suppliers from Singapore, but also from suppliers from all over the world. Many times products coming
Right.
from China as well. So I believe as the world becomes smaller and brands are tapping into commerce and this whole digital infrastructure globally and logistic infrastructure, what are some advice you would give to brands who are trying to go global, be it from China to overseas or maybe even overseas into China as well? What are some advice you would give them?
Right. That's an extremely good question, Nick. I will try to summarize into three main areas. I'm sure there's more areas of consideration, but for brands going from international market into China or China out to the international market, I think these three things are pretty much consistent. The first area that brands need to be mindful of or business need to be mindful of is that there's fundamentally difference in the digital ecosystem in China versus the rest of the world. I would like to usually say that China ecosystem is like a carnival. You enter into the China ecosystem, is like everything is happening into one single ecosystem. Give you an example: the Tencent ecosystem, Alibaba ecosystem, the ByteDance ecosystem, the Baidu ecosystem. The Chinese marketers are very familiar that if I want to do search, I want to do content, I want to do engagement, I want to do purchase, I want to be connecting and having a long-term conversation by building loyalty. I can do it within one ecosystem. Every single ecosystem in China right now have their search function. You can create content, you can actually build community, you can even have stores, and so on and so forth. So I think most of the international brands, when they come to China, they realize that they are spoiled for choices. But what it means is that when Chinese brands go out of China market, they are now seeing that it is a more structured format. That means that when you want to do search, predominantly it is in Google. If you want to do exploration and discovery, Instagram, Snapchat, so on and so forth. You want to build community, right? Go to Facebook, because this is where most of the people will be doing all of that. And at the end of the day, if you have gone through all the funnel and you realize that you want to buy something, sure, let's do it at Amazon, at Shopee, Lazada, Tokopedia, all those e-commerce platforms. But having said that, we are seeing that all the global platforms, right, are starting to adapt to the idea of having an all-in-one digital ecosystem. You have Facebook, Instagram stores, you have WhatsApp's cards, you have Google Shop Loop, and you have so on and so forth. So the difference is going to get smaller and smaller. But for the time being, marketers need to be aware that these are two very different ecosystems. Secondly, when it comes to consumer, right, you look at the cultural differences. I like to think of it as the fundamental of who we are as a person, right? When you create content for a global market or for a Chinese market, very often, right, we create it from where our perspective is. And that's where consumer insight, market insight is key, right? Every market, every culture has their own nuances, their languages, preferences, and presence, right? You can create a brand video to show to market A with huge success, but it will fail miserably with market B if you don't change and adapt. So I think it's especially important to consider having multiple adaptation of the same message or key message to suit the local market. So having that cultural sensitivity is very important. We've seen international brands in China who try to play it, fail. We've seen Chinese brand who gone out, couldn't get it right. So I think that's very important. Third, I think looking back internally, more in terms of the company structure, having a one team is probably one of the, I would say, top factors for brands to be successful going out of their key markets. Having alignment across all the major markets, alignment between teams working together, collaboration in terms of understanding the time zone, way of working, communication methodology. All these are very, very challenging. We recently launched a campaign for our agency to have a Chinese mobile handset to actually plan and launch a global integrated campaign across multiple markets. And we talk about multiple continents: Europe, North America, South America. Right? We work with all the teams across. So we notice we work across multiple platforms, from Google to Facebook to Instagram to even Twitter. And we have multiple touch points, offline, online engagement for what we call the major festival of the year in international market: Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and Christmas.
Yeah, I think that's great. It's really it's a really fascinating that we are all doing commerce, right? Buying, selling, but culturally it's so different. Everyone is doing it in a different way. Marketplace platforms are different, technology are different. Like I resonate when you were talking about your second point about Chinese brands wanting to go global, to be to understand that element, because in Southeast Asia as well, it's hugely multicultural. So commerce, exciting times for all of us as marketers, and I think every brand should think about what's their commerce strategy. And on the third point, really, I think that's the key, right? If organizations are structured correctly with the right talents, with the right partners as well, then I think they can really succeed in commerce. So with that, thank all of you guys for your time today, and appreciate that, Cars, appreciate that, Justin. and we'll see you all again.